Okay, so this is becoming tight. There we go. That brand new hardware though. Well, alright guys, so I have a new O-ring on this PCV valve, kind of like the OEM catch can, along with a new hose right there that goes from the catch can to the head, and then I have a brand new OEM Honda PCV valve. So now what I need to do is I need to make a hose, or cut a hose, that connects to the PCV valve, and then it will go up, and then I'll have it run through one of these runners, probably this one right here, and then plug into the intake manifold right here. Again, I am waiting on my 14mm spring clamps to finish that off, but I can go ahead and cut the hose to length. So let me show you what I'm working with here. So I have two hoses here. Now you might want to keep this in mind that some hoses are for oil or fuel only, and others are for coolant only. For example, this one is for heater coolant. Well, they call it a heater hose, and it is specifically for coolant. Whereas this one is actually a Vibrant Performance one. This one is a little bit more pricey, but they say that this one can hold both oil and coolant. So this one is both, and this one is, you know, the higher quality, and I don't really want to use a coolant hose for my PCV valve system, so that leaves me with using this Vibrant Performance one. It is thicker diameter on the outer than the OEM hose, just like this one is, like I said, so you will need to use a larger clamp on this one. This one I ordered a couple of 14mm spring clamps. That's cool that they actually have a hole there to run your PCV valve tubing. Well, there you have it. I have the hose on there. I did have to turn the PCV valve a little bit towards the driver's side, just so it doesn't have to be straight forward, facing forward. It's just easier for the hose to go up through the intake manifold and then finally connect. But this Vibrant hose, it looks really good. It's a little tight, but the fuel rail is holding it in place and looks good. Now I just need to get those clamps on there and that job will be done. Now I still need to cut some coolant hose for, actually I did cut some coolant hose for that. I have that sitting right here. So this one will be ready to go once I get those clamps. So now, alright guys, so my clamps finally came in. These are Mishimoto. I got these off of Amazon. These particular size is 14mm to 15.5mm. This is a 10 pack I got for about $7 shipped on Amazon Prime. Honda does not make these size spring clamps anymore, so these are the ones I had to go with. Otherwise I would have just bought the OEM Honda ones, but like I said, these are discontinued, or the size is discontinued. I do have plenty of this size from the old hoses, but these are like 2mm too small, so they just wouldn't fit on this. So I have my Gates 5/16 hose, and this is one of the new clamps, and this hose, I already pre-cut this to the right length. This hose is going to go from this water neck right there to the intake manifold right there. So it's just a small hose, and then like I said, I already have this larger one that is going to connect to the other inlet to the intake manifold. So I'm going to go ahead and put another clamp on this, install it. That hose will be done. I also need to add some clamps to my PCV valve all the way down there, and then of course one on top here. And then I can finally start buttoning up this intake manifold and doing the finishing touches on those. For the next job, I think I am going to install the new spark plugs that I have. Let's see, one of these is for my S2000, one of them is for the Integra. Let me see here. I believe these ones right here are for the Integra, and then these ones are for the S2000. So I'm going to get these, and well, let's install them. Then I will put back on my OEM plug wires. Alright, so here is the current spark plug available for the Integra GSR. The part number has changed a little bit. These are replacing an old spark plug number that NGK has for the Integra GSR. I'm going to show you one of my old spark plugs. Here's one of my old spark plugs, and it's not in bad condition, but it is a different part number. This one is PFR 6G13. Whereas this one is, let's see here, where does it say? Oh, there it is, IFR 6E11. So it is a little bit of a different part number, but NGK now lists that these replace this one right here. So anyways, I'm going to put some brand new spark plugs in this one, in my Integra. These are NGKRs. These are, you know, as I just said, the updated OEM plug. So I am going to use my spark plug socket and torque these down to 13 foot-pounds. So here is my spark plug tool. This holds the spark plug to where you can just drop it in, and it has a plastic kind of holder in there, and it holds it just like that. Well, I can drop this in and first hand tighten it. Always hand tighten your spark plugs. You do not want to come at these with some power tools or anything like that, definitely not. But I always hand tighten it all the way for each one, and then I get my torque wrench and set it to 13 foot-pounds. Alright guys, I have my fuel pressure regulator. This is the OEM one. This is discontinued. They don't make it anymore. If they did make it, I would probably buy a new OEM one, but they don't, and there's nothing that I know of that's wrong with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and install this one with the OEM hardware back onto the fuel rail. This should be quite simple. This just goes right there on the fuel rail with the couple of fasteners, and it should be good to go. Alright, these bad boys get torqued down to 108 inch-pounds. So I have my 1/4 inch torque wrench. There's 1, 2, alright, 108 inch-pounds. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's see here. This hose right here connects to this end of the fuel pressure regulator. So I'll get that on and then move that clamp up. And then I need to run a vacuum hose that runs from here to this inlet into the intake manifold. So it's gonna just kind of loop around here. Alright, I have this hose hooked up to the fuel pressure regulator. Then I found this vacuum hose that is connected to the intake manifold. So just kind of have to cut this to size, just kind of decide how I want to route this. And there we go. There is the fuel pressure regulator hooked up to the intake manifold. Looking good. Alright guys, so here is where the throttle cable connects to the throttle cable connects to the cable. You can see there is the cable that is moving. You see the piece at the end, and then the black piece, and then there is like a tan or white piece of plastic. Pull that black piece back, and then you want to pull that plastic piece out from the bracket that it is in, and that's how the cable is staying connected to the throttle pedal. There, I got it. You can see the black piece and the white plastic piece is out of the bracket. Now I just need to move the bracket, move the wire out of the bracket. There it is disconnected, and you can see the bracket right there now has nothing going through it. So we have disconnected it from the throttle pedal. So now we can go into the engine bay and check that out. Okay, so on a GSR, This one is for cruise control, the one on the left, and then this one right here, the little bit larger one, is for the actual throttle cable. So now what you want to do is turn that plastic piece counterclockwise about 90 degrees. So you can see right there, I have turned it. Now you're just going to want to pull it from the firewall. This may take a little bit of wiggling it around. There we go. And there you see the plastic piece came off the firewall, and the rest of the throttle cable that was connected to the pedal is now out. So let me get all this out of the car. All right guys, so here is the OEM GSR one, and here is the OEM Integra Type R one. Again, here is the part number for the Integra Type R throttle cable. This is the correct item to use to actually get the throttle cable to the exact length of what it should be. I may have to buy a bracket because, you know, this part and this part is obviously different, so I may look into getting a throttle cable Type R throttle cable bracket for this, but not this moment. So let's just install this. So again, this end is just going to go right into the firewall. You can see it has little ends on it there. These ends you are going to want to put into the little notches. You can see the little notches in the hole in the firewall. So you just want to put it in there and then turn it 90 degrees. So we are going to go ahead and do that, and then do the opposite of removal of this little plastic piece that will hook up to the throttle pedal. And then we should have it all hooked up. Oh, actually, and then we need to hook this end up to the throttle body. Okay, so I have it connected in the car. I just did reverse. I just put that little white plastic thing inside the orifice for the throttle pedal. So we're back out here at the intake manifold, obviously. So in order to get the cable onto the actual bracket, yes, I still am missing that bolt. I'm waiting on that to be delivered. But anyways, there is a small little thin piece on the cable right there that will enable you to slip it into the bracket. This thicker part will not come out, so it is, you know, in there at least. And then to do your adjustment, you will just use these two nuts. You will adjust this one to where the length in and out you want it, and then this one to lock it into place. But before we do that, we actually want to connect the end of our throttle cable, which is like this little, I don't know, drum piece, to our actual throttle body right here. So you see this hole right there in the throttle body. There we go. Now we need this to, so now that is locked into place right there on the throttle body. You can see it locked in there. Now we need this wire or this cable to come around this little butterfly right here. Well, I may have to loosen it to do that first. All right, let me take it off this bracket so I can do that first. Well, we're learning, guys. So now I'm going to loop the cable into its track right there. I can see it connected to the throttle body there, and we have it nice on there. So now that that is done, now let's go to putting the cable back in. So like I said, there is the thinner end right there. Oh, and I have to, okay, so this is becoming tight. There we go. Okay, so now we have it connected to the throttle body. Let's put it back in our bracket. The thin part right there will allow us to slide it in just like that. It just slid in, see, in and out. It is in. Now I'm going to release the tension, and see, now this part is thicker, so it can't come out. So now we just need to tighten these nuts and adjust the throttle tension accordingly. That brand new hardware though. Well, shit. Alright guys, so I got the new hardware on for this Type R throttle cable bracket here. It's looking nice. That's what we got so far. But while I'm in this area, earlier I had polished this. This is my OEM Integra GSR fuel pressure regulator. This is not the same as the LS or any other model. The GSR has its own fuel pressure regulator, by the way. I polished this up because it was looking rusty, and well, even just sitting in the garage, with the humidity, it's starting to rust again. So I've looked at, I would just buy a brand new one, but this OEM part is actually discontinued. I would love to buy a brand new OEM one, but that's not going to happen. And aftermarket ones just look too cheesy to me. I mean, if I upgraded the fuel rail and a fuel pressure regulator, I think it'd look more natural, but just the stock fuel rail with an aftermarket one just looks too the year 2000 for me. So I'm not really into that. So I think I'm just gonna actually do the next best thing of what I know, and that is, let's just paint it. I already have new hardware on here, so I think I'm just gonna take that off, obviously disconnect the hoses, take this off, get some wax and grease remover on it, and how about this? I have this left over from painting the valve cover on my Civic DX. So, might as well just use this up. Wrinkle black, this valve cover, I repainted about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's still looking pretty clean. These little spots are RTV that I got on it. I could just clean that off, but haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, it's looking still pretty good, still pretty clean. So I think that wrinkle black fuel pressure regulator, plus will kind of blend in, will look really nice. Plus, by the way, I'm not sticking with this valve cover. I will be using this valve cover whenever I get the car tuned, but since I have adjustable cam gears, I'm actually going to have to cut holes in this. I haven't decided if I'm just going to do the, the half moon cutouts for each cam gear so they could be adjusted, and then I'll just leave this plastic piece off so I don't have to cut that. Or should I just cut the valve cover all the way off on this section just so you can fully see the cam gears? I haven't decided it yet, but anyways, I am going to cut up the one that is original to the engine because, as I said, I'm going to be using this one for tuning, but as soon as the car is tuned, and we don't need to see the cam gears anymore, I'm going to put this plastic cover back on, and I have a brand new Integra Type R red valve cover that's going to go on here. Basically the exact same valve cover, it's just going to be painted, or it's just going to be OEM red. So that's going to be really nice. But anyways, I think I'm just going to go ahead and paint this wrinkle black. I'm not really into customizing too many things like that, like painting things, but hey, it's better than that right there. You know what I mean? It's better than rust. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off and shoot it with some wrinkle black. All right guys, so the intake manifold is looking good. I finally got the clamps on, or in the mail, for the PCV valve tube there. I have the throttle cable tightened down with about 10 millimeters of deflection. It opens and closes very well. The throttle plate opens all the way whenever I smash the throttle pedal all the way to the floor. This was starting to rust, so I painted that wrinkle black. It looks better than rust, so that's, I guess, an improvement. So really all I need to do is just put the wiring harness back on the fuel injectors, which I'll do at probably a later time since I won't be starting this car anytime soon. But also got my new hardware in there, got my cable rerouted. I do not have a Type R throttle cable bracket to put on the tower here, so it's just gonna hang here for now, which is fine, it's no big deal. Looks okay there. But yeah, everything is looking really good. Put a plug on this one on the throttle body so there is no vacuum leak, so that's good. Yeah, I'm waiting on my intake. I got a J's Racing carbon fiber intake that's coming from Japan. That's going to take about 2.5 months to get here, so everything's looking really good. I just have to do the finishing touches, and then I can start the car. So anyways guys, for this video's purposes, that is pretty much how you install a Skunk2 intake manifold on a Integra GSR. As you can see, there are a little bit custom things you need to do, some clamps and hoses and stuff like that, but I believe I covered it all. Other than that, I do need to attach this brake booster hose here, which is no problem. That just slides over there, then over that, and then I'll just move this clamp down. So now you know just the little tidbits of what you need to get, all of the specialty little clamps and different hoses that you're going to have to order. So just be prepared for all that. Anyways, guys, I hope this really helped you out. Give me a big thumbs up and stay tuned for more content on my Integra GSR. Hopefully going to get this thing started up soon. Of course, it does still need some tidbits, including some nice titanium header studs and of course the Skunk2 header, which is sitting right there. But yeah, thank you guys. That brand new hardware though. Well, shit.